What's up, everybody? ShonnyDman here, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another edition of Nerd Talk with ShonnyDman. And we are joined by a very special guest. And as you saw by the thumbnail, we are going to talk about some Avatar: The Last Airbender. But before we get into that, you guys know the drill. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe button, comment below. Towards the end of the video, I will show up an image that will have our guest links to where you can follow and support them. And other than that, just tell us who you are. And just for those who are listening on podcasts, just tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Cassie Sherman. I am an Instagram social media persona and also on TikTok. And I'm a huge Avatar: The Last Airbender fan and probably a definitely huge, big nerd, if you can't see by my wall of pop figures that I have behind me.
So, as per usual, as I always tell everybody when doing these episodes, the people that I bring on, these are people I have never met before. I've reached out, and gauged their interest, and a lot of them have been gracious to come on. I think we've been talking for a couple of weeks now about it, just trying to find the right timing and things like that. So this was very, obviously I'm very gracious for you to come on. But so other than that, we're going to jump into some Avatar: The Last Airbender conversation. Maybe some Legend of Korra. I'm not sure we didn't really discuss that. I'm not sure where you stand on that, but we may jump into a little bit of that. But as a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, when did you first see it? Was this like a series that you grew up with, or did it come out mid through your life, or where did it start for you?
So I was born in 2001, and I believe it aired a few years after I was born. But my older sister was always in control of the TV because that's just how TV schedules related in my household. If you were older, you got to decide what we watched. So I remember watching it as I grew up, and I don't really remember my first time watching the episode, although I always remember knowing how the series started and how the series ended. I've just always known the plot of every single episode. So I watched it growing up and just always knowing what the end result was going to be.
So I was born in '92, so I was pretty much in that middle teenage years of when it first appeared. And at first, I didn't really care as much to watch it, but then I started, bored one day. There was a few episodes on, so I watched it. I really enjoyed watching it. The show's really good. It's a very good show. It's a show that has really it has a huge fan base behind it. It's one of the I know there's comics. I've never really read the comics. I think I've seen one or two things about it, but I never actually read them. So there are four books within this series. So which one is your favorite?
So I believe they're not relating to the books. I know there are 3 seasons. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
there's three.
asking about?
Yes. I was
Okay.
thinking of four books because of four elements, or maybe I was
Mhm.
thinking of I got that mixed up with Korra. I think Korra does the same thing as well, but yeah, I was thinking of four books because of the four elements. But I know I think you're right because there's 3 seasons.
Yeah, my favorite season has to be Fire, the last season, season 3, because that's when all the characters know, or where all the voice actors know their characters so well, and they're really able to put themselves into the character that they're playing. And that's just when everyone knows who they are. It's when they're finally trying to wrap up the end and make an end result to the show. And I think it's done very well.
Which who's your favorite character?
Oh gosh. Probably Toph or Zuko. Toph is
Yeah.
a she's a badass blind 12-year-old who is really just she knows who she is and she's not trying to prove that to anyone. And then Zuko just has such great character development through the entire show. And I love seeing that in anything, seeing how a person grows over time.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. When Toph is first introduced, by far, she is one of the coolest characters within that show. Um, just I feel like anybody can, because her sarcasm, her attitude, you probably can definitely relate to that character. Toph is one of my favorites. She's far and above one of my favorites. Um, I would think. I think there's somebody else that I like. I can't think of the name. Iroh is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, definitely.
he is just a well of wisdom. It is just it's so great I can listen to him talk all day and listen to his wisdom that he just likes to give out, and it's very solid things. Um, so Toph and Zuko are your favorite based on your personality. Now this may not make sense, but it just came to my head. But based on your personality, which character do you feel like you more align with?
I'd say more, oh gosh. That's an interesting question because all the characters are so different.
Mm,
Like there's Katara who had to grow up on the spot and like take care of her family in their village. There's Azula who was given so much like authority at such a young age and she was raised to such a high standard. But I'm honestly not sure because honestly, maybe Toph just because I've had to I feel like I've had to prove myself to
mm,
multiple people and like she like didn't even need to do that. She just already did. And I feel like eventually I came to terms with myself that I don't need to prove myself. I'm already doing that. And like Toph is so independent and so happy with who she is. And I feel like I relate a lot to that when I grew up or as I grew up.
right. Who's your least favorite character?
I mean, can I say the bad guy? Like, um, yeah, I don't like the Phoenix King or, the Fire Lord. I
Right,
also really hated General Zhao for in season one.
right,
I feel like like we learn about him throughout the entire series. And like he definitely had a lot of like history behind him. It's just I feel like he was kind of dumb and he was like just motivated by anger and power. And that's what a lot of the bad guys in Avatar were controlled by.
mhm. Yeah,
And I feel like
the lust for
General Zhao,
power.
yeah, I feel like General Zhao was only power,
He
where
was
we
a
learn with
right,
oh,
which I think, yeah, like later on when they're kind of like in that desert. I believe they're on their way to Bossing Say. They kind of end up going through the desert and finding that library. There is a reference to him in that season because he burned a section of the library to kind of like destroy some knowledge. It may have been on how to defeat the Fire Nation, but he destroyed some knowledge, and the keeper of the books was very unhappy about it.
yeah. And I feel like when the series moves on, at least we learn with the Fire Lord that he like wasn't always bad. He did have love with his wife. He kind of liked his family at a point in time. It's just we learn that when he started wanting power and when his wife left, then we learn he had some character development, but I feel like with General Zhao, it was
Right,
straight up only power that he wanted.
right. Who's in your opinion, who's an underrated character that doesn't get a lot of love but should?
Hmm. I feel like King Boomy.
He is pretty great.
he is a huge part of Aang's life when he was young, and he's also kind of the only connection to his past that he
Mhm.
still has. I feel like not even just thinking about the show where he is kind of helpful, where he shows a little bit of personality and just like fun with Aang. I feel like it means a lot to Aang, the main character, that he still has one person from his past life that, well, yeah, his past life that he can come to.
Right. Oh yeah, because by this
And
point he's well over 100 years old, and like he's pretty physical enough for a 100-year-old man. That's for sure.
yeah.
Um, so one of the cool things about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Korra kind of went into this a little bit as well, but primarily in the Last Airbender, is to talk about their past lives as avatars, and we get to see these different versions. You have Avatar Roku, where you get a really good backstory on him as being the Avatar, watching him grow up and him eventually becoming frenemies with, I believe it was Fire Lord Sozin. I think that's who he was friends with growing up. Um, and then you have Avatar Kyoshi, which a lot of people seem to really like that Avatar, even though there's not much about
Oh
her
yeah.
besides like a few comics and things like that. A lot of people really like this character. She's very. I would say she's. If I was there during that time, if she was a real life person, I would be very intimidated because she was. I think she was very tall and very. She had that just intimidating look to her.
Mhm. She was also one of the most violent avatars.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Mhm.
because there was her, and then there was two more that we got in the. I think this was in the final season when Aang was on the lion turtle.
Mhm.
Um, there was two more that we got. I think it was I can't remember. One was an airbender and the other one was a waterbender. I can't remember their names though. But it
Me
was very
neither.
cool just seeing like all these past lives and the lessons that they tried to give Aang when it came to the final confrontation with the Fire Lord or the Phoenix King, and each one gave different advice, basically saying in order to protect the world or at least save the world, you may have to take a life. And Aang being kind of like an airbender, kind of with that Buddhist lifestyle and mindset where all life is sacred. You see him really have troubles coming to grip with the idea of taking somebody's life in order to save the world.
I feel like the most um like the best part of that scene is when he's talking to the other airbender, because they're supposed to be very, all life is sacred. They're supposed
Mm-hmm.
to think about that. And I think because he had a realization of like, oh, I should talk to another airbender. I think when he talked to another airbender and she said that you have to do what's right for the world, not for yourself. I feel like that's the most like amazing part when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to Aang and he's like, oh, it's not about me, I guess. I have to do this. I feel like that's the most, I can't come up with the word right now, but that's the most important scene that we see of Aang realizing that he is the Avatar and he has to do something he really doesn't want to do.
All right. But then obviously the lion turtle gives him that new ability of being able to take away a person's bending. Definitely. I mean, I am curious though, if he didn't get that ability, could he have really gone through with it, or do you think it's a situation where maybe he wouldn't kill him, but definitely imprison him or something along those lines?
I feel like it would have had a very different ending, I can
Right.
assure you. But I'm not sure because, I've always known the ending of the show, so I've never thought about what would happen if the lion turtle didn't help him. Because I know they learned about it in the library episode you previously brought up, although like that was never even a thought of like they can bend energy within people. I feel like if he I feel like he would have killed him and that would have changed the ending of the show. Like he would have realized he killed someone.
Right. Right.
And yeah, so
Yeah.
I feel like he would have killed him and that would have changed the ending. And like it would be such a dark ending for a kid's show.
That's true. Because you don't really see a whole lot of like other than because I don't think you really see any deaths in this show other than now korra you see a little bit but not a whole lot. You're kind of left with the knowledge of okay, yeah, they probably died. But in the last airbender I don't think you really see anything that like shows this person being killed or anything like that. It's pretty kid friendly throughout the entire series.
Yeah, aside from season one, when you see the skeletons in
Oh
Monkey
yeah,
Octo,
right,
that's about the only real
yeah.
time.
And then I think this was like after the series had ended up. They tried to do. I know we weren't gonna talk about it, but I was like, we might as well just discuss a little bit about it. But they did that live action version of the last Airbender. I went and saw it. Very much hated it. Now, so like, here's the thing: as a kid, you don't really notice how bad like a movie it is until you get older and then rewatch it, and you're just like, "This is terrible." Why? Why did? Because when I first saw the trailer for it looked really good. I believe the trailer that I saw was Aang training in a temple, mastering his airbending, and then it kind of like pans out outside, and there's like thousands of Fire Nation ships, which was really cool. But the movie was just god awful. It was just terrible.
Yeah, they tried to make it almost too realistic, maybe,
Yeah,
when it's a fictional world where people bend elements.
right. It was just like I get the idea what they were trying to do because they're trying to incorporate a lot of martial arts into the bending, but there was just too much of that. Because I think it came on the other day, or maybe I saw it on YouTube, a clip of it. But like, there's a scene from the movie where they're all in this Earth village, kind of like how it was in season one. They're coming across this Earth village, and they kind of rise up against the Fire Nation troops that are there, and it takes like 4 or 5 guys just to bend like one rock, and it's just like what is this? What are you doing? And then you have the Fire Nation that they don't bend fire. They got to have like fire around in order. It was just kind of like what are you doing with this?
Yeah, I completely agree. They I appreciate the creative liberty the director tried to take, but I feel like it was far way too different than what everyone was used to.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it
With
was,
such a perfect show, they took way too much
yeah.
to bite.
The mispronunciations of the names was just a hot mess, and it's just I was like,
Mhm.
what are you doing, guys? Come on.
And
Was it?
not to mention the cultural appreciation where they took like Katara and Sokka and made them white
Yeah,
when they are very much supposed to be like indigenous. I'm not sure
yeah,
what the correct
yeah.
word
I,
would
I
be.
would go with that. Yeah, I would definitely go with
Mhm.
along that line. Because it was just like it's like in the movie instead of like Katara's name is basically the same, but Sokka they pronounce it Soka, and instead of Aang it's Ong, and I was just like, what do you do? Come on, guys, what is this? What are you doing with
They
this?
could at least keep the names correct and
Right, because like, and then because like toward the end of the movie, they had the big fight in the Northern Water Tribe, and And in the show, Aang kind of just now budget wise, I can understand this. You can't necessarily do what Aang did in the animation, but this goes back to where they're doing too much with the bending because he kind of goes into the avatar state and he's like doing these series of like kung fu movements just to raise a wall of water. And I'm just like, why is this necessary for him to do like 20 different like combination of movements just to raise water? It's just this whole thing, and they did change a lot of it too, um, from the book and not from the book, but from the show and the movie. So it was just a mess. It was just tiring.
I completely agree. I don't remember it too well because I saw it in theaters and I
Mhm.
remember as a kid hating it. And my family also hated it. We made it this big event. We were going to go to the movies, spend money, get some popcorn, get some candy, and then we walked out just being completely disappointed.
Yeah, like like being an adult now, I probably would have just I probably just would have walked out of the theater and just be like, I don't want to watch this. This is just I never in my life have I gotten up and just left out of a movie. That will probably be the first because when they try to do these live action things like that, it's a mess because Dragon Ball tried to do that as well. Again, completely hot mess, and so it's just bad at it. But now Netflix is doing a live action series, which I have some high hopes. I think they've come out with the casting. They're all pretty much. Uh, I believe of the. I think they're all pretty much Asian. I might be mistaken. I have to double check on that. But I think they've already come out with the cast. I don't know when they're going to start production of it, but it's been in development for some time. So I am looking forward to it. But I might. But it just all depends on which direction they go with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely nervous about if it's going to be done well.
Right.
But I have very high hopes. I love the cast. I love that they're introducing every character because I believe in the live action movie, we didn't get May, we didn't get Ty Lee, and like they introduced the Fire Lord way too soon. So I feel like with the show, we're gonna get like they kind of have a script as to what not to do.
Right. Yeah.
And the
Exactly.
movie's been out for a while, so everyone's had time to complain about it and critique it. So I feel like the Netflix show has a perfect script on what not to do.
Right.
So I have high hopes for that.
Exactly. Switching over to the Legend of Korra, from what I can tell, a lot of people are pretty divided on this show. Like everybody's pretty unanimous and united on the Last Airbender. Korra, on the other hand, is very it's divided people. And I'm not sure why. I think Korra it's an okay show, but obviously it's hard to try to live up to that Avatar series name.
I completely agree. So I'm on the side that didn't like The Legend of Korra.
Okay.
I think it was way too different from Avatar. I feel like they focused. I understand that Korra is trying to come to terms with being a human, and Aang is trying to come to terms with being the Avatar. And I like how they are like defining these two characters very differently. Although I feel like the world is way too different. Because
There's a lot
in
of
the show,
advancement.
yes, they're using cars now. They're using steam engines. And in Avatar, they were still pushing trains by
Mm-hmm.
using earthbending. And I feel like if you have bending, it's going to change how technology is made too. I don't think they'd go from earthbending to cars.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't think that's how advancement would work in a fictional world like this. But you know, I'm not
Right.
sure, we don't live in a world like that.
Right.
But I'm also not a huge fan of Korra because I feel like she's just not a good avatar
Which
in
is
general.
yeah, which I think is one of the criticisms of it. It's just that she's not a very good avatar. She she really it's just I don't know what it is about Korra. Um, I would say her villains are actually really good. I would probably, at least in my opinion, I would say because the last airbender, you pretty much had the Fire Lord as the main focal villain, but you had like smaller villains spread out. But with Korra, the villains that we get are actually really good and compelling villains on why they're doing what they're doing. Which you again, you get that a little bit in the last airbender, but I think Korra does a much better job of relaying that information of why these villains are doing what they're doing. Um, you got Amon, uh, Vatu, and it's her uncle who becomes a dark avatar. I can't remember his name. And then you have Kuvera, and then you have Zahir. Zahir is probably by far the best. Kuvera and Zahir are probably the best of the four, but the villains were very, very good. Um, but it just it there are a lot of I'm gonna ask you a question because I'm not sure where you stand on this, but there is a lot of indication to when at the series finale where Korra and what's her name?
Asami?
Yes, they kind of go off to the spirit world, and then they kind of hint, or at least put that out there that maybe these two, which to me, I was kind of like, that seems really stupid and it doesn't really make sense. But again, that's just personally me. I don't know how you feel about that kind of ending to the series as they did it.
So I like that they ended up together. I'm completely all for that. And I feel like they were trying to hint toward that the entire show, I personally believe.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I feel like opening up the spirit world to like and like making it like come together. I feel like that's such a leap.
Mhm.
I feel like I know they were leading up to it and everything and like they were definitely talking about it. It's just I feel like that's such a drastic change from the first season and even just from Avatar because they're two very distinct things and that's what the Avatar is supposed to be, the bridge between the two worlds. So in a way, just like from looking at it from a broad perspective, it almost seems like Korra fails if she just let them meld together
Mhm. Yeah,
because
it
they're
just
supposed to be two very different things.
yeah. It seems as if Korra as the Avatar is just not very good.
Mm.
It's like, and a lot of it too. I wonder too if it's because of what happened, and I believe it was a season before where her connection to the past avatars was destroyed, and she kind of and it essentially reset, and she's the first avatar, and she's
That
going
I
to.
also
Oh, you didn't like
hate.
that?
No, I hate it because like with Aang, it was such a he needed those past
Mm,
lives. And like they made it such a big deal that if you die in the Avatar state, no more Avatar.
right.
And with Korra, it's kind of like they just erased that plot line.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, you no longer get help from your past lives, even though that's such an important thing in the last season. And dare I say, Korra needed a little bit more help than Aang did when
Yeah.
it came to being the Avatar. So
Yeah.
I feel like them doing that plot is like I did not enjoy that plot either.
She definitely had the hardest time defeating her villains compared to what Aang, had to do. Um, and again, that's why people say she's not a very good avatar because she has somewhat mastery over the four elements. She has the avatar state, but with all of those in her back pocket, she still struggled Now, season one, not so much, just because she didn't get the Avatar state towards the end, but later. But the other seasons when she had it, it's just she just didn't do a good job with it. Um,
Mhm.
and it's just yeah, she needed a lot more help from her supporting cast of characters more than what Aang had to do. Aang had to kind of like learn to take on the responsibilities that come with being the Avatar, whereas Korra, you don't really get that so much. They try to like attempt to give her that knowledge that she is responsible for things, but it doesn't really work out as well. Again, like you were saying,
Yeah.
where she kind of merged the spirit world and the real world, whereas Avatar One kept them separate. And so
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know.
And I feel like they're meant to be separate.
Right.
Like there's a reason as to why spirits are on their one world and humans are on the other. And that's so, and like spirits can still help. That's what they're meant to do.
Right.
Although if they're always there, spirits are now also a threat,
Mm.
or like they're in danger
Yeah.
if they're
Uh,
not in their own world.
yeah. But also was cool. So several things about Korra that was cool that I liked. One of it was obviously we got to see Hank and Katara's kids and
Yeah.
Toph's kids
Yeah.
and Zuko's daughter. We did see her. We don't see Sokka's. I don't know if he had a kid, but we don't really see that.
Do
Um,
we know who Sokka ended up with Suki? Do
I
we
think that's the general thought is that who
Okay.
it was. But then there may be some people with conspiracies that him and Toph may have ended up together, but I don't think there's a clear answer on that. Just because
Yeah.
we really don't see him as much because he already because by the time of Korra, Aang has already passed away, Sokka's already passed away, and so really there's only Toph and Katara and Zuko out of the original gang that's still around. Um, One of the things that was cool was seeing the kind of like this resurgence of airbenders.
Mhm.
That was really cool to see. Um, with metal bending and lava bending, get a little more spot to shine in the show. The metal bending is really cool because they had
That's
that
like it's
one.
whole
Yeah.
that's a whole new thing. Like I believe there's a school opened up by Toph's daughter, like
Mhm.
how to metal bend.
Yeah, and they have like their own little city that's like made out of metal. That's
Mhm.
really cool to see as well. Um, the bending, what is it? The bending games that they do, kind of like the tournaments. That's really
I
cool.
love those, love those.
Um, and then what else was it? But I will say my favorite thing about the series was learning about Avatar One. That was by far one of my favorite things about the show because
Mhm.
again, Avatar: Last Airbender, we know about probably about four different avatars. Um, but then in Legend of Korra, we got to meet Juan and go and see his journey, how he became the first avatar, and how the cycle began. But then again, they just erase all that. So it kind of like,
Yeah.
what was the purpose? If you were going to do that, what was the purpose of you even showing that? So,
Yeah. I completely agree. I feel like my favorite thing was definitely like how the world was built. The tournaments, they learning about Avatar 1 and everything. And definitely seeing how like the Southern Water Tribe grew,
oh yeah,
seeing Katara, seeing Toph, seeing Zuko, all of those characters, and just like seeing how also these characters parented.
oh yeah.
Because like you definitely see Toph's daughter, you totally see a ton of Toph in her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to see how Tenzin ended up very much more serious than Aang. So I definitely loved seeing how the world evolved like within the characters.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with Tenzin because like he is a son of Aang, and he has and you see it too when this resurgence of airbenders start to pop up, where he has like a huge weight on his shoulders of of training this next generation of airbenders and teaching them the culture and the lifestyle of what it means to be an airbender. uh, his daughter Janora, great, very cool character. She becomes a master at a very young age,
Mhm.
and she gets her tattoos at a very young age. But she also had like connection to the spirit world too, which was also a neat little side thing about her character. Um, his his brother Boomy, so it's just a wild card,
Yeah,
just like King Boomy
living up to
was.
the name.
Yeah, very much so. Um, but it's Korra, for all its faults, it does have some nice moments in it. Um,
Definitely. I feel like I watched it because I wanted to like get that Avatar feel.
right.
I feel like it has some ties to the original show and it does a decent job with that, with just like the characters in general. It's just I still don't like how much the world
Mm,
itself changed.
right.
And then also I'm not a huge fan of Korra herself. I feel like I watched the show for the old characters and the children aside and not really for the Avatar.
Right. Yeah, because I don't know how much time they say passed between the last Airbender heading into Korra. Because
I believe Aang died when he was around 40 or 50.
yeah,
He
yeah,
was
because
very young
he
over
was
that
yeah,
time.
he was still alive when a lot of that advancement was going on too. Um,
Mhm.
so, but I mean, it's the designs of it look really cool. But yeah, but it's just probably a little bit too much advancement because I mean, like, because really in reality, how much advancement can you make in like 40 to 50 years?
Yeah.
Could,
I feel
could,
like
could,
there's a lot of science that we missed.
yeah, yeah. Compare. Yeah, I think they did come out with like some comics and some books that kind of like fall in between the two shows to kind of like build more of a canon and give more information
Mhm.
about that kind of thing. But man,
Yeah, but
man,
just looking at the show itself, they kind of jumped huge like they
yeah,
jumped a huge time lapse.
yeah, very much so. Um, what was that one character? I think it's Varric, very funny character. Uh, and then him and his assistant. I think what was her name? Because he's always like
I forget
do the thing.
I forget her name. Yeah, they were a good balance though.
Oh yeah, so
Mhm.
I loved it. He was very yeah, he was a very good character. And then that's the thing. They had a lot of good characters in this show. Is where I mean, Avatar has some good characters too, but I feel like Korra, the side characters are probably there's a lot more side characters in Korra than there are The Last Airbender, where each of these side characters are very interesting. Just to see, but but yeah.
I would argue with you on that. I
Oh
feel like
really?
yeah, I feel like Avatar the first I don't know, book, Avatar The Last Airbender, I feel
Hmm.
like it has side characters that like affect a lot more. Because I feel like the secret tunnel episode, like we
Oh,
get to
okay.
see Nomad, we get to see how this close group of characters react with other people that are
Mhm.
just strangers. We get to see how other people react to the Avatar in such like a huge moment in history. I feel like the side characters,
Mhm.
like Longfang, he's not a side character, but all of his allies
Mhm.
are, they're such crucial moments. We get to see Hama and how they react to her.
Oh,
I feel like
that was a very creepy episode.
it was a very creepy episode,
Yeah.
but I feel like the side characters in Avatar are more alluring
Mhm.
because we get to see them only as side characters.
Right. They're
We
not
get to
as,
see
yeah, they're not as, because like most of the side characters. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, because most of the side characters in The Last Airbender, you don't really
remain
see.
side.
Yeah, yeah, you don't see them prevalent as much throughout the series,
Mhm.
compared to Korra, where you see a lot of these side characters pop up all over the place. Wait, okay, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, Hama, I completely forgot that episode. Creeped me out as a kid when I first saw that.
I'm looking
That
forward to see how they do that on
Oh yeah,
Netflix.
oh yeah, man. If they do that, I'll be. If they are able to creep me out as an adult, then they deserve my high praise of it. Because that,
Yeah.
and
Ko
then
the face stealer.
Coda face stealer. In reality, I don't know how you can keep a straight face when facing something like that. There's no possible way that you can survive an encounter with Coda face stealer.
That's just proof that Aang is built different.
Right, right. It's just
Yeah.
nobody can do it. And then there's and like what was his name? The owl in the library.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't remember his name.
He who knows a thousand things.
Yes, he's just I'll be
Also,
again.
who is it? The professor that they're with
Oh
in
yeah,
the library. I feel like he's such a crucial person in that entire episode. That's how they find the library. That's like, they're traveling with someone who also knows a lot about Aang and is fascinated by him. And then they see that this person would much rather just die
right.
with books
Yeah,
than
this is
be in the world. So I feel like they encounter such different people. They see a professor, they see a bloodbender, they see nomads, they see a fire they see Zhang Zhang
oh yeah.
who just wants to hide out because he's so miserable in his own life.
Mhm.
I feel like the side characters in Avatar just have so much feeling behind them, and we
Mhm.
actually like we get to connect with them and then we lose them completely.
Yeah, especially the guy with the cabbages. By far the favorite.
Oh yeah, definitely. Dare
He's
I say he's
great.
a main character.
It,
He's a
it,
main character.
exactly. You can't go a couple episodes without the Cabbage Man. Um, May and Ty Lee are good characters as well. Uh,
They
and
are amazing.
and it's like it just shows to Azula's like intimidation and manipulate. I can't pronounce the word, but how the way she manipulates people. Because like how she like how she got Ty Lee to join her. Like she made it like her job so dangerous. She's like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And
Mhm.
so, and then May, I don't remember what the I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the reason May joined. I know a lot of it had to do with like when they were in the Earth, one of the Earth kingdoms, and they encountered her. But just
May was just bored.
that's true.
She
Yeah,
was like,
that's very true.
I'm done with my family. Yes, please take me. Let's have a journey. But I think getting introduced with Azula's friends, we get to see a slightly more humanized
Mhm.
Azula
And
because
she cares about him.
Mhm. And like I feel and like in the beach episode, we get to see humanized Azula
Yeah,
when in every other scene we see her in, she's just such a villain.
yeah,
She hates her brother. She only wants praise from her father, and she is leading up to be the Fire Lord.
yeah.
So I feel like the little snippets with her friends or like where she talks about her family, like we get to see a humanized version of her. And I love when we get to see Azula as a person and
Right.
not just future Fire Lord.
Especially in the series finale where like Katara and Zuko, they take her on, and it's just you see the mental breakdown of
Mhm.
her character as the series goes on, and it's just like she's a villain, but it's just very heartbreaking to see that.
And that's
Uh,
something the writers did very well,
yeah,
was that they made this demented character have a soul.
Yeah.
And then we get to see it break down. Like that scene is heartbreaking, especially since it's a brother and a sister fighting. And we get to see that they are brother and sister and that they do have a connection with each other.
Mm.
But by the end of the series, they understand that they're both completely different and they need to fight basically.
Right. Right.
And that's
Definitely.
also something Korra doesn't have. It doesn't have the big, beautiful fight. The cinematography in that, or yeah, cinematography? Yeah.
Yeah.
The art in the last episode is, or the last four episodes, is so emotional, so dramatic. And I feel like that's something we didn't really get in Korra.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
very true. But overall, Avatar is one of the greatest shows ever created. Very, very much looking forward to the Netflix version to see how that pans out. And Korra's probably going to be still more divisive over the years, so that's not much in changing that. But that is it, guys, for this episode of Nerd Talk with ShonnyDman. I appreciate having our guest on. This was very fun. I very much enjoyed it. We will definitely be having her back on. But you guys know the drill. Hit that like and subscribe button, comment below. You can also follow this on Google Podcasts and Spotify, as you can see on video right now. And for those listening on podcast right now and those who are watching on YouTube, tell us where everybody can follow you and support you.
Oh, I'm on Instagram and TikTok as Psychotic.circus. I post a bunch of cosplays there and I post on my story just like vlogs of my life, basically.
And so she does great work, guys. So I'll please go and support her and everything that she does. She is a great person. I'm very gracious that she came on. But other than that, you guys enjoy your week. Stay out of trouble. Be sure to check out the channel. Plenty of content on there right now. And I most definitely will see you guys in the next video. See ya.